Hello everyone, it's Kayla, and today I'm discussing the Bane Chronicles by Cassandra, Clare, Sarah, Rees, Brennan, and Maureen Johnson. For those of you who don't know anything about Magnus Bane, he is the Warlock, one of our favorite characters in the Mortal Instruments, Infernal Devices, and Dark Artifices series. This book just follows different adventures from him before he kind of knew the shadow hunters that we know and love, and all of his life experiences. This book, you would have need to read all of the Mortal Instruments and Infernal Devices, or this book and this video are going to spoil you. If you're thinking about reading this, I would give it a 3.5 out of 5. I am not a big novella person, and this is sort of just like a bunch of little novellas like packed into one. And I'm not a huge fan of short stories. I want to like continue on a storyline, so that's kind of why I gave it that. Also, it's a little slow in the beginning because it's just we're not with all of these characters that we like love and are used to. So I just really liked the parts where we got to see our characters that we know. Wasn't much of a big fan of the parts that we didn't know anyone. That's all I can really tell you without spoiling you. If you want to stay and watch and see my thoughts on more in-depth stuff in this, then go ahead and stay. But if you don't want to be spoiled, I would leave now. Bye! Okay, so the first story in this is, I think, what really happened in Peru. The first story just kind of got on my nerves because it's like, but that's not really why he was banned from Peru. After every single little like segment of a story, and I don't know why, it just seemed very like middle grade book to me, like elementary book, like, that's why the mouse didn't get the cookie out of the cookie jar. It just kind of irritated me a little bit, but it was a good introduction. I do feel really sad because we learned, and I think it was that first story, that Magnus's mother had killed herself. And I don't know if we talked about that in the Mortal Instruments or Infernal Devices, but I definitely didn't remember it. And it was just like, oh, that's so sad. And he grew up with so many hardships, and he's so fabulous today. The next story that we're given is The Runaway Queen, and that's the one with Marie Antoinette. I'm really sad that Magnus didn't get to go back to that guy that he really liked, who I already forgot his name. It took me about 2 weeks to read this, honestly. It should have taken me like 3 days, but I just was not liking it for a long time. It was going really slow, and I wasn't getting into it, and I finally finished it, so that's why I'm not like remembering everything. I think it was kind of funny to like have this spoof on history, sort of, where it's like, oh, Magnus was there, and I think it's funny how he always like fools people about his age, and he was like, oh, back like in the day, this guy. And Ragnar and Catalina always look at him and they're like, you were alive then, what are you talking about? Then we have the vampires, Scones, and Edmund Herondale, and what really just like stood out to me the most was whenever they like save those ladies, and then Edmund like marries them, and he has to have his mark stripped off of him because they like don't believe in like, I don't think it's like possible for him to live with like a mundane and still like have a semblance of his ordinary like life. And that was just so sad to hear all of his screams of agony. And we just love our Herondales, except for Stephen Herondale. I don't like him, but all the other ones. It's so sad to hear our babies cry. Then we have The Midnight Heir, and that's with James Herondale, and he is the one that's like shooting up all the chandeliers and everything, and Magnus is like, no, this cannot be the baby of my Will and Tessa, and it is. And he's really heartbroken because of this girl who, like, she is drop dead gorgeous, and we're kind of don't know if maybe it was from magic that she became that way, but they're left over from the Lightwood family, and it's like the wife, and she is crazy. She wants Magnus to go and like kill 5 shadow hunters for her. That was just crazy. And I just kept remembering in the Infernal Devices whenever the like Daddy Lightwood like turned into a worm, and it reminded me of, what is that book? Metamorphosis. Did anyone ever have to read that in school? It's like this guy, and he like doesn't know if he's like a bug or not. It was the weirdest book, and that's just like what I thought of reading this chapter. Then we have The Rise of Hotel du Mort. I keep wanting to call Albus. He's not Dumbledore. He is trying to go into the Void, which is this place where all the demons live, and he's like, okay, we are warlocks, we have demon blood, we should be there with them. And no one has ever, like, come back from the void, obviously. Magnus is like, you don't want to do this. And of course that shadow hunter comes in and, like, shoots him in the heart, and his blood awakens the, like, big void thing to, like, suck people in. Or kind of brought up with the question, like, is this what happens when you get to be a really, really old warlock? You just start going crazy. And what age do you hit that? I know Magnus said that Aldous was way older than he was, but, like, when will he get to that point where he might start acting a little, like, off the edge? Then we have Saving Rafael Santiago. That chapter was so good. It was really cool to see Rafael and how just, like, from the beginning, he has just, like, conquered everything. Literally killed the guy that was killing all the children, and he went and, like, walked through holy ground, like, 10 times, like, burning himself. And it made me think of whenever he was talking to Simon, and when Simon became a vampire, and Simon, like, could not say God, and he's like, oh, you have to, like, start believing in it, and you have to, like, stop believing that you're, like, damned or whatever. And I was like, wow, and maybe, like, that's actually not, because Raphael just sort of, like, grinned and bore it, and it was really cool to see how strong he was. And he is so sassy to Magnus, and it was really funny whenever him and Ragnar were just having this, like, back and forth with how, like, ridiculous they thought Magnus looked. This part of the book is really, it's about halfway through, that's really when I started to really enjoy the book, and it was just really cool to see Raphael and how he sort of, like, became on top. Like, he literally was, like, second in command, like, 2 weeks later after going to Dumont, and that was just really, really cool. Then we have the fall of Hotel Dumont, and that's kind of when it becomes the Dumort thing. But basically, it's New York in, like, the 1970s or 80s, I'm pretty sure. Everyone's on, like, cocaine and heroin and drugs, and the vampires have been feeding on people that have that stuff in their system, and it's causing them to be, like, addicts inadvertently, and they're killing way too many people. And Magnus is gonna go stop it with, like, the werewolves, and this part was just really sad because Camille, like, he wants to care for Camille so much, and he just has Katerina, like, take his memory of her. He doesn't want to think of her like that. That the fact that he saw her so, like, weak is really cool to learn about the grave dirt thing. I guess that vampires, like, they collect some of the grave dirt from each vampire, like, being born, and they put it in these vials, and then if you, like, break the vials, then it summons them, and you just, like, think where you want them, and they'll be there. So that was really cool to get them all back and make sure that they were all off the streets and not killing people. That was good. Then we have What to Buy the Shadow Hunter, who has everything and who you're not officially dating anyway. We finally get to see our boy Alec. After watching Shadowhunters on ABC Freeform now, I love the guy that plays Alec. I think he's so cute. And now whenever I read this, I was, like, kind of picturing him as, like, he was going in front of the Alec that I, like, made up in my mind. And I thought it was really cute how Magnus, like, put that stuff on Izzy's whip. Like, she would be protected because he knows that what Alec wants most is for his family to be protected. It was also really funny how the demon, like the Alcaeus demon, was, like, giving him advice, like, you could get him a nice scented candle. And I honestly, like, especially from the illustrations, and which I love how we get the illustrations. Look how cute he is. Oh my goodness, I was just picturing him giving Magnus relationship advice, and it was super cute. Then we have The Last Stand of the New York Institute, and this is going back to whenever we're with the Circle. They are killing a bunch of people for no reason, and of course trying to justify it because of Valentine. Magnus and everyone have to go and, like, save these werewolves, and everyone from the New York Institute is killed by Valentine, and that's when Luke finally turns on Valentine. And it was really cool to see that, and to see later on in the other story how then Jocelyn comes back and Magnus is like, your husband tried to kill me. And I didn't know, oh my gosh, Valentine actually, like, stabbed him in the back, but he, like, healed himself and was okay, which was crazy. Then we have The Course of True Love and First Dates, and that is Alec and Magnus's first date. And it just made me love Alec so much more. Like, we never really get to see him just with Magnus, at least not on a large scale like this. And he's so shy, and he just, like, doesn't know what to do, and he's so awkward, and it's adorable. And they save that werewolf together, and it's so cute. And Alec is just so protective of him. That is super adorable. The whole story together was really cute, and oh, it's so adorable to read. And then we have the last story that we're given, the voicemail of Magnus Bane, and that's after we realize that Alec has tried to shorten Magnus's life, and he and his friends are all leaving voicemails like, Magnus, don't break up with him, you don't need to do this. It was really funny. Like, Izzy, she's like, I will kill you. Just kidding, we're all friends. They all care about Alec and Magnus so much, and it was just really, like, kind of sad to read the voicemail, but it's good because in the Dark Artifices, we know they're back together with their little boy. That is really all my thoughts on the Bane Chronicles. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, go down and give it a thumbs up, and subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. I will see you guys next time. Have a fabulous day. Bye! Y'all, look at my eyebrows. I just got them done at Ulta, the, like, Benefit, like, brow bar. And man, it was awesome. I'm so pleased with them. They looked really bad, and now they're okay.